Excited. And three, two. Hello and welcome to GH Dirty Deeds, your show where we talk about the other side of General Hospital. Hi, I'm your host, James Jr. here on JLJ Media. I'm so excited to be here, and I have a great guest. Okay, kids, I'm going to get this chat room set up. So it's supposed to be very interesting for this person because she's usually in my chat rooms. So instead, she's on the other side. I'm going to post that there. That's there. That's that. Okay, we're good, folks. So come on in, people. And this person, she has her own podcast. It's called Port Misery, which I love that title. And you can find it on Spotify. We can tell you everywhere you can find it and stuff. But she talks about General Hospital also. And we were talking before we came on. I said I agree that there's, not enough. Why not enough room for everybody to talk about these shows? I want you to introduce you to, if you don't know who she was from Port Misery, it's Tara Kendall. Hello, Miss Tara.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And I said, and it's funny, it's my gap tooth twin. We have our gap teeth, mind the gap. That's my mom. Okay, so you guys are wondering, like, what's going on here? Okay, so GH30D is my other show that I had for 4 years. We talk about different people there. Hello, Kirsten. The GH Spotlight is coming on at 4 o'clock today with Frank and Lucretia. So that is happening still. That will be happening. That's at 4 o'clock. So go ahead and tune in there. And then early, we just finished talking to Erin D. Spears from Bold and the Beautiful. Great, honest, real conversation. Oh, it's real. It's he about being Black on the show, about everything. He talks about it all. That's out now. So that's Bold and Beautiful Spotlight with Erin D. Spears out now on JLJ Media. And we also did the recap for Bold and Beautiful. Also, that's out too. So those are all out. Then this is going on. And GH30 Deeds is available on audio and video. Hello, Susan Russo. Hello, everybody. So Tara, first of all, we were just saying, I'm like, okay, so another podcast. As you know, I've had podcasts on here. I support the GH podcast community. And so I said, I know you as a fan. I know you as a follower of my stuff, of my GH stuff. So you're just telling me, you said you got inspired by our show, doing stuff that we were doing?
Yeah, I listen to all of the soap podcasts that I can get my hands on. And I really love the fact that you had a show that was just dedicated to GH, because a lot of podcasts are for all soaps. And so sometimes your favorite soap can get lost. And I only watch GH. I watch Days every once in a while because sometimes it's crazy, but I only watch GH, and I was inspired. But then I was also kind of, if you listen to my podcast, I'm kind of snarky. I just noticed it was probably around when Jason went on the run. I went through, it's like the first 4 podcasts. I think I have the first 4 episodes. I go through every single character and just describe how miserable they are. That everybody in this town is so freaking miserable. Like, it's the saddest. If Port Charles was a real place, it would be the saddest town in America.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. Everyone is so miserable. And so, like, in the middle of doing that, and it started as a voice note that I was just going to put on YouTube because Twitter does not have enough characters to describe how frustrated you can get watching the show, seeing people be so miserable. And so I was like, should be called Port Misery, essentially, not Port Charles. It's Port Misery, where everyone's miserable, and you can know that before you step into town.
I love it.
I like to have fun with it, though. I still want people to watch this soap. So it's not a let's rag on GH. It's always in a very fun way. I like all the characters. I used to be like an evil J. Sam fan.
Well, I'm going to ask you some questions about each. I have some questions for you about characters. So we'll dig deeper into that, of course. But no, I like you say that because the same with our show. We don't want the show to go off the air. We want to keep it on the air. And I think so Twitter's bonkers. First of all, I say it, I say it, they're bonkers. But some of them will call for the shows to go off the air. I'm like, I don't want the show to go off the air. I make fun of the show, but I don't want to leave, right, Tara? You don't want to leave.
I think it was on either Friday or Thursday's podcast. I had like a little, because I got into a little back and forth with some fans who are like, cancel the show. And they were saying how, like, oh, if you're bad at your job, you should lose your job. But, fine, that logic works. But we don't work for GH. Like, I'm not Frank Valentini's boss. No, like, I'm a viewer and a consumer. Oh, I have mail coming in now. Great. I'm in grad school. That's what's happening. But yeah, it's essentially like as a viewer, if you're not enjoying something, like I don't want to force you to watch anything you want, but I never really understand the argument, like because I'm not enjoying it, I think we should just get rid of it, just disappear it from existence when there's obviously other people who are enjoying it. Like I think on soap Twitter, everybody's favorite thing is to see the numbers at the end of the week, like how many viewers has been lost. And they're like, they lost 200,000 viewers. And it's like, but they still have 2.8 million viewers. So it's like,
right. The numbers thing cracks me up, especially because that's usually, like you said, that's the bar of like how the show, why it should stay on the air or not. Like, this is a view. I'm like, well, viewerships go up and down all the time. I mean, the different storylines. I mean, it's just that's how it's always been.
mm-hmm.
So.
And plus, I think with the pandemic, I think the pandemic also had a lot to do with inspiring me to talk more about the soap and to start this podcast, just because it was gone for months. For months, it was gone, and I
remember, right?
A life without GH, and I did not like it. I was not happy with it. I mean, I was a huge One Life to Live fan. So when that went off the air, and that probably had one of the best seasons it ever had in that final season. And I was like, they're going to save it. They're going to save it. They have to save it. And they're like, nope, it's gone.
Nope, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I don't want the show to go. I think, soap operas are a fabric of America. And I think we need to keep them on. And, and I know they're going to try to bring back Pine Valley, which is All My Children, and then some others. So, I mean, I just think that we need to keep them. I just think that sometimes there's bad writing. Sometimes there's bad acting. Sometimes there's just whatever. But I never wish, well, also, I never wish people to lose their jobs. I'm sorry. I never wish crew members, I mean, it's just, yeah, you make changes, or writer's not good, you make a change. But also, you can't please everybody anyway, too. You just can't please everybody. That's,
I think I learned that lesson over the last 4 years. I think.
Oh yeah, you learned, yes.
Ask me questions, but like 2017 was like a wild year because I know everyone's complaining about I can't wait for 4:00 when we get into the hating shooting rewrite. People are flipping about it, and I
know they are, and I know they are. I know.
I was like, for continuity of this parody of a recap show I have, we're just gonna go with everybody is clueless, because that's what we're doing. Like, that's what they're doing. And so someone either decided, I honestly think they could not figure out a way to end that story, that there was no way you could end it without having Sean Butler go on a murderous rampage through Port Charles.
Right.
And no one wanted that. And so they're like, we're just scrapping it and rewriting it. And I can be upset about it. I think I was for like a week. And then I'm like, okay, we're just going with it. And soaps are the one genre, I think, where you don't need continuity like that. You just don't. I mean, you have long histories, and that's what makes them dangerous, because
yes,
they underestimate how long someone's been watching the show. And then with GH, unlike the other soaps, you can find 30-year-old clips of GH on YouTube. And so it's not like the history is lost. And so you run the risk of making mistakes, and maybe this is a mistake and they're too deep in it now. The scripts have been finalized, the scenes have been shot, but you just kind of got to go with it. I mean, this is a town that aliens showed up in, and
right.
had an adventure with them. Like,
yeah, you make a good point. The good points are that, this is soap opera, folks. They're on 52 weeks a year. They're on 5 days a week most of the time. And things do get lost in translation. Things change. Remember, there's different writers and producers. The network has a say in it. So we have to kind of, Tony Moore, who runs Dish and Days, he always says he's a fan with open arms. And I understand that on some level. I mean, yeah, we have right to critique and, and get upset, but just like, I feel like there's, in the end, to really look at the big picture, is that this is a business. It's a business, folks. And again, people change, and they saw as kids, and they change marriages, and it's what they do. And so we may have to roll our eyes a few times, go, okay. But if it's a good story, if we make it a good story, then I'll roll my eyes and keep going if it's a good story.
they have Kelly Monaco having a good big part in this. I think I've been complaining for months, like what is Sam and why is she still in this town? And now, she has something to do. They're actually giving Sean Butler something to do because I was afraid they were gonna like Brad and Lucas him, where they just get
Yeah.
him from prison and then he disappears somewhere into this town, never to be heard from again. And so like it's good to have more people in this cast in front burner stories that don't have to do with the mob and I'm a huge fan of the mob. Like
So
if
you are,
you
okay.
follows me, I love the Corinthoses. They're on too much.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm not a mob fan, so but okay,
Yeah,
got it.
they're on too much. And I my podcast kind of goes into the history of the show a little bit. I try to connect it back because I know a lot of people know it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed, I'm trying to do this longer episodic thing called The Misery of, where I just go through a character's existence in Port Charles. And the first character I chose was my favorite, Sonny Corinthos, but his history is so long that I've given myself this ridiculous project. Like I finished 1994. And so like
Oh my
one
god.
has to just be 1994. But like just watching his scenes for that 1 year, you kind of see how the writers have kneecapped themselves with this family. They want him to be this big bad who is somehow doesn't do terrible things and is hurting no one in Port Charles at any point whatsoever. Um, and it seems, in my opinion, to have bled over to the whole cast. They don't want to have drama in this town, and I don't really know why. Like everybody, even the Curtis Sean scenes, why can't Curtis have beef with the man who slept with his brother's wife? Like why can't they have beef? He just kind of like thanked him for being resident black guy for 5 years in Port Charles while he was in prison, and told him he knew nothing about a storyline he was prevalently in 2016. But
It's it's funny. I mean, I've been watching General Hospital since the late '70s, early '80s, I guess. How long have you been watching?
um as an actual viewer who can have an opinion in this show, probably like Max updates GH status. My mom is a GH fan, so it was on every single day. She worked in the summer. I had to like watch the show. I would be like, I can't leave the house at 2 because GH is on. No, from 1 to 3, I had to be at home because Days of Our Lives and GH was on, and my mom worked, and I had to recap the
Oh,
story for her because we could not afford to be taping things. Like some people on Twitter were like, "We taped it." I'm like, "Ooh, lucky you." But I had to recap it for her, and I swear it's the reason I'm a historian.
that's
Just
so funny. I like that.
having to do it for her. And so I just got invested in the show, and GH just ended up being the one that stuck.
Yes. It's funny. You mentioned Max updates GH. He's on my show tomorrow. So, folks, I will be talking with him tomorrow. He's a kid on the rise. He's a kid on the rise.
Give him a writing job on the show.
And-
Like he knows what Willow and Michael are doing is wrong. He's 7.
yeah, he's 7. Exactly. His mom is hilarious. I can just talk to him. So, stay tuned with JLG Media. That'll be coming out tomorrow. But I'm sitting down with him tomorrow. I'll be one of the first interviews to have him. So other folks may be having him after me, but I'll be one of the first ones. Yes, I reached out. I've been watching you guys. I was watching since I was a kid too. Okay, first I want to tell people about your podcast. I want people to know, like, okay, so you started. How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 months. Okay. I have to go back and see.
That's fine. 3 or 4 months. And where is it available for people?
It's available on Spotify and Anchor and some other places that are smaller. I'm trying to get it on Apple Podcasts, but it's such a thing to get it on Apple Podcasts. Like, first, I'm not technically savvy. I was very surprised of how easy it was to start a podcast. And then I was like, oh, it's harder. Like, oh, you have to maintain it, and then you have to do all these different things. So right now it's just on Spotify, and I promote it on my Twitter page, and I have
What's your Twitter page?
The Port Misery, at Port_Misery on Twitter. Yeah. And I also do on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot. I GIF every episode, whether we need that or not. We give, yeah, you can do a 25 tweet chain. And so I just 25 tweets, the whole episode just laid out every storyline in 25 tweets. And so I try to have fun with it. I have faves. I'm very vocal about them, but nobody gets a pass. Like Carly's my fave because she's garbage. And like I miss the Carly who did things because she did them. Not like this heart of gold and she's got good intentions behind it. She was just, I did what I did. I lied to Tony. I
She
shot him.
can't grow up. She can't grow up.
She can grow up, but I think that I really enjoy. I was looking at like Scott Baldwin last week. I think it was last. No, it might have been this week when he was talking to Elizabeth, and then Jason rolled up, and Scott just immediately was like, "You," and just went into it. I kind of miss character history that way. I like that Carly is, she has a very good job. She owns a 5 diamond hotel. She's a mob queen pin. But some of her, I kind of wish she, and maybe Laura Wright and Steve Burton are playing it this way. I don't know. I'm not savvy on acting and like subtle acting choices. But like I think with Laura Wright, she's playing it in that way where she's obviously missing. Say, I'm a Carson fan.
Okay.
Carson, but she's obviously thinking about Sunny, but like she just has this gleam in her eye, this like 25 years of wanting to be Mrs. Jason Morgan, watching Brenda and Sam and Courtney get to be Mrs. Jason Morgan, and now it's her turn. Like someone, I think it was D fan had D_fan_GH. She posted a screen grab and it was like Carly with this brightest look in her face, and Jason looks like a hostage. And like, it's never to come at. I have Charlie. I'm really proud that I have a lot of different fan bases that follow me. I like what I like. I think everybody likes what they like, but I think that you learn different things about the show from different perspectives. And people who just hate your faves, like they're able to see things in a different light.
Yeah. So okay. So you have your podcast on Spotify. How often do you put it out?
It depends. It's last week was the first 3 days were really great. And so I did dailies. Like I was like, I'm gonna recap every single episode.
Okay.
But then by Thursday and Friday, it they were too slow. And I was really just here's what happened. So it's usually weekly. So I usually give a massive week update on Friday night. If something great happens, I'll do it. I'll do it daily.
Okay. So yeah, so folks, she's on Spotify, folks, and so on Report Misery. So you can see whether it's weekly, daily, whatever. She has all kinds of stuff on there for you to go through. And how long are your podcasts usually about? How long are they about?
The weekly ones tend to be about 45 minutes just because I go through every storyline that was available that week.
Yeah.
Daily ones, it depends on how much was happening that episode. It could be like 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Just I go through a lot of history on my thing
Yeah.
to hammer home a point because a lot of people on Twitter do it. I'll bring up something from back in the day, like the new flashback scenes. They made new flashbacks of
Yeah.
Elizabeth and
Of
Nicholas'
Liz and Nicholas,
ridiculous hair, but we needed them, right? Because we have Marcus Coloma playing Nicholas now, not Tyler Christopher, and Laura Wright had I think 6 weeks of new flashbacks made for her to assume the role of Carly.
yeah.
Not everyone gets a new face.
That's
Like
true.
we couldn't have Nicholas get stepped on by an elephant, and like now Marcus
Right.
Coloma is him.
Right.
And so like I do try to go through like the day's episodes, but then also connect it to longer trajectories. I'll do the research if I don't know something. Like I'm currently looking up the Holt family because it's before my time. But yeah, I'm a historian by trade, so it's a snarky parody of of a recap, and then a little bit of GH history mixed in.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. I'll throw a couple of rapid fire questions.
Cool.
Give me the answer you feel is your answer. I mean, it's like just whatever you. I know you'll be honest. Just give your answer. When I ask you, just give your answer. Favorite character male?
Oh, Sunny Corinthos. He's a garbage bag.
Right, get this coffee.
Yes.
I just got this from Frank Valentini. Thank you for Valentini. Favorite character female is it Carly?
Carly, yeah.
Carly.
All three of them. And the fourth one we don't talk about. She did her thing. She did her thing.
I will not comment. Favorite GH location?
The docks. Everything
Okay.
at the friggin' the docks, like Pier 55 and like anything from murders to kids sunbathing just happens at those docks.
Oh, I will say that pool set is pretty good.
The pools, I wish they would show it less. Just because I feel like if you show it every day, it accentuates how small the Metro Court potentially
is. Summertime at the pool.
It is summertime, but the foot of the chairs are like an inch from the pool, and then like the back are like a foot. I have a whole set because I live in LA, and I'm not in the industry, but like I think everyone in LA ends up having some type of industry job. And so like I was an usher for live studio audiences. I worked on Sony at a coffee shop for a few years. And so like I've been on the big movie studios and I've also been to the smaller ones. I know that Prospect Studios is a small studio. This is not Warner Brothers. And so they're not going to have, and I said that on my podcast, they're not going to have this massive ocean backdrop set for them. But I think that if they showed it maybe like every, like 2 times a week, then I could be like, oh, the pool. But I mean, it's nice to see. I feel like it's a salvo to Young and the Restless. I feel like they're like, look at all these people we can have in bathing suits.
Well, I'm saying, girl, no one's looking at the length of anything. They're looking at the abs of so and so, and I'll tell you, Sam, well, Pam's, yeah, all I saw was breasts. That's all I saw this week.
Sam looked like a freaking goddess. Ava looked like a goddess.
Ava, working at
Why is Sean Butler wearing a shirt?
I know.
Why is Sean?
That shirt was a little tight too. Like it needed to come off. It needed to come off. That shirt needs to come off. It was like, yeah.
At least Curtis had his shirt open, but he didn't need that shirt either.
Yeah, he sure did.
Why were so many men in shirts? But I mean, I like the teens. I like that the teens are at the pool and not on the docks, almost getting shot.
Yeah, I'm being funny, of course, with the pool sets. But I ain't looking at the pool, so I'm looking at what most of the people are around the pool. I know when Kelly Monaco walked out this week, I just was like, bam! I was like, okay, girl. She's working it out. I'm like, that's the best she's looked in a long time. They totally made her look good.
She looks amazing. If I had to get second, it would be Jason and Sam. I like that whole quad.
Okay. Well, that answers my next question I was going to ask you already. Because there are so many different Stan fan bases regarding to Jason. You mentioned one of those, Charlie, Liaison.
Yeah.
Of course, very big. That's a very big fan base. What are your thoughts on Liaison?
Okay, so back in the day, in 2007 days, where Elizabeth was running up 15 flights of stairs, I could not with Elizabeth ever. And it kind of carried It kind of carried on. I think that like soaps you get so passionate about stuff. And it really wasn't until they paired Elizabeth with Franco that I kind of softened towards her. And even this Liaison sort of orbit with Jay, I think if this was 4 years ago, I'd be furious, but I think it would be hilarious if Jason had to marry Elizabeth instead of Carly. The only reason I want Sonny to come back in the middle of the Charlie wedding. I need that to happen because everyone keeps saying like Sonny would love this and he would 1,000% not. He's throwing all the scotch glasses. He's gonna bust into the Queen of Hearts with 2 duffel bags full of scotch glasses and just start throwing them like for 2 weeks.
Yes, totally.
But I think it would be just in the realm of possibilities hilarious if it's like, oh, I gotta marry Elizabeth to not testify against her for this Peter missing body switch. So Liaison, back in the day, I understand the apprehension. I don't think that it's very fun to watch the show that way and to just like hate certain people. I hate Nina, but it's a very comical farce of a way of hating someone. Like
Well, but so fans they're serious. Like we're laughing about it. Like we're like, okay, I mean, it just means the actor's doing a good job. It means the writing or whatever. But there are folks who hate. I mean, like Frizz fans hate me. Oh, they hate me. Oh, Frizz fans hate the fuck out of me because I was so against Frizz the whole time until the end. Then I started. I started feeling for them when they added the whole family aspect to it towards the end of the storyline. I was like, actually, I like the Cameron. I started to soften on Frizz. In the beginning, I was not a Frizz fan, not at all, and they attacked me.
As a J Sam fan back then, I was like, well, Elizabeth being squared away with anyone is a good thing. Like, put her with anyone. And if it's a serial killer, like I said, I wasn't a fan of Elizabeth. Let Jesus take the wheel on that. Like, whatever.
Yes.
They ended up telling a very compelling story to the point his death makes sense. And please don't be mad at me, Frizz fans, because I still think that he didn't need to come back as another character. I don't know why they keep doing that. Maybe they promised Roger because he came on originally as a Quartermain, and then everybody was like, "This is a dumb storyline," and they were like, "Turns out you're not. You're Heather's son."
Yeah.
So maybe that's what that. I don't know, but I thought it was really compelling to have this man who had a brain tumor, was a serial killer, got a brain tumor removed, and then actually turned out to be a good person because that's what we were waiting for, right? For him to it to be an act, and he really wasn't. He's Ryan. And no, it turns out it wasn't an act. Like it turns out it wasn't. And when you compared him to a character like Jason, he's out here making better choices. Like he's out here making better choices. And to the point where like I think Steve Burton on his podcast said that like he feels like an idiot just attacking Franco all the time, like while his character does what he does. And so like I think it was a compelling story, but the story only got to be compelling because they killed him. Because you knew he was a good person in the end and that Elizabeth was right. But I mean, in the beginning, if you're an Elizabeth fan, did you really want your fave character with a serial killer? Like I would.
Apparently they did. Apparently a group of them did. Because I was like, I liked her and Rick together. I liked her. I just thought like and now they're trying to push her and Finn together. I don't know how I feel about that, but whatever. I just thought her and Frizz, not a big fan, but again, Rebecca Herbst, we love her. She looks beautiful. We want her to work. Her and Nick, I don't want them together either. I never wanted them together.
I just like Elizabeth in her own story now. Yeah. I think Elizabeth running around covering up murders is the best.
Sure. Why not? Why not? I think it's great. I want to ask you. Oh my God, I hate to even bring this up. Anybody who watched my J show knows how much I hate this person and the character. But I was curious. He's not in the freezer. Spoiler alert, folks. What were some of your thoughts on Peter?
I mean, the character himself, that was just a character that did not work. They could not make it work. They couldn't fit it. It was a square peg trying to go into a round hole the entire time. And I don't think, because I never want to go off of performance, because I think that acting is really hard. I can't do it. I always say that. Like I could never, like I would just start busting out laughing if I had to pretend to die or something. But Wes's performance, and I've seen Wes in other things, and he's very great. I loved him on Charmed and stuff like that.
Guiding Light. He was on Guiding Light.
I was never sure what they were doing with his character. They never had a clear, and like going back and watching Sunny in 1994 to 1996, you can see the shift. You can see where it shifts, and it's the Robin Stone HIV story.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
that's where it shifts. 1994, he is a douchebag. I was talking to my mom about it 2 days ago, and she was like, "Yeah, he was an asshole in 1994, but then he became one of my favorite characters." And you can see where they gave Maurice Bernard that moment. He sold it. We bought it. And now he's this mobster with a heart of gold. And I mean, there's some people who will just never buy it. And they're like, he's a bad person. But, you know, there was enough of the audience who were like, yeah, 100%. I don't think he ever got enough of audience support to support the Maxie Peter romance. And then I was never sure how he was playing it. Like, was there ever a point where he was a good person? Because he always seemed to like start monologuing at some point.
Right. So you're good. You're mirroring things that I don't care for. I thought he had zero chemistry with Kirsten Storm. I had zero chemistry. I mean, I just didn't. He wasn't compelling to me at all. And that character, you're right. The character was not clear.
No, I mean, she was best with Valentine, I think, and they were like
Yeah,
bad, shady times.
yeah. Well, towards the end, when they made the decision to make him just all out villain, then it got better. Then you go, okay, now we know he's a villain. Got it. But you're right. At the beginning, it was like I don't really get what this dude's about. I just well, that's enough about Peter. I don't even want to anymore. Even in the chat room, like, Peter. I know. I'm sorry. I had to ask her. She wants to try to ask her, folks.
I like the alliteration. I knew he was the writer. Like back in the day, they sometimes the writers think they're smarter than most of their audience, but the author of the book that Jason and Sunny and them were looking at was Octavian, and like Octavian is the first ruler, Emperor of Rome, and he changes the name to Augustus. And so as soon as they said Octavian, I was like, well, it's Peter August. There we go. Like the firstborn son, Peter, like August. It's little alliteration stuff. But yeah, move on from Peter. I don't want him to come. He's coming back in October. I think a lot of people on Twitter guessed that like it's going to be a Halloween sweeps thing. We're going to have zombie Peter and one-handed Ryan just taking over Port Charles. Because he's not in the freezer. Like he's not in the freezer. There's no blood in the freezer either. Like
nope, nothing. And they have to find a way. Because my co-star, you watched our show, we were trying to figure this out. They had to find a way to prolong the Maxie baby thing with Bailey, and because once Peter explodes, then the storyline's over. So they had to find a way to keep that going too. I mean, I don't mind. I love a good umbrella story. Trust me, I like when stories reach out. But I was like, but Peter, I want to be over so bad. But I call it worst character. I actually mentioned you touched on this a second. I actually like Austin. I like this new Roger Howard character kind of. I kind of like him. They could have cast with someone else, yes, but they must have offered Roger a deal or something. I kind of like Austin, this new Quartermain. I love it.
I don't have an issue with Austin. I'm still waiting to see what he's about. We know he saw Chase walking, so like
he said, I just keep remembering these two women talking, but there was only one woman when I was like, oh my gosh, so is he playing him? Is Maxie right?
I mean, I can't see them bringing Roger Howarth on as like some golden nice character, like not when he's got all these other crazy characters that he can play and can do. So I'm waiting for the shenanigans to play. But I mean, it's always fun to put him in the Quartermain orbit. I feel like Franco, he was so in the Corinthos orbit, and then he's marrying Carly. I mean, even being with Elizabeth, he was still like in their orbit because of Jake. This way, it's like he's just there in the Quartermains. He's this wild card because, I mean, I don't know how everyone else is voting. Like, how are they like? We talk about these other people like Maya and like Dylan, and so I'm like, Tracy doesn't have Dylan's vote on lock. I don't understand. Like,
I know them crazy Quartermains.
Maya said no. I mean, I would just leave Valentine in charge at this point. It seems to be going great.
Yes.
But I'm waiting to see what he does. I mean, he's a doctor. We haven't really got to see him doctor outside of delivering Maxie's baby. He's got this man bun. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but
not to me either, girl.
I do like that they're already wooing him, you know, because they came in very aggressive, like, who are you? Get out. And now they're like, crap, he is who he says he is, and he's probably gonna win. Even though I don't know why he's gonna win. Like I have two thoughts about this. One is like Edward said what he said, and like you can decide to disinherit anyone you want. Like you can't really feel some type of way about that. But then also, who cares about Edward Quartermain and his wishes? Like, why are we? Right. I want some people to go back and watch Edward Quartermain in the 80s and not like John Ingalls, you know, grandpa.
David Lewis, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where he's just like the worst person alive, and he's like hiring Tiffany Hill to get the Quartermain mansion back from Monica. Yeah. Like, so yeah, let him mess with the Quartermains. I like seeing Monica.
Yeah, so good seeing Monica. Good seeing her back on screen. I love her and Jason together. They're great. They're just
great. Everyone was so mad that he said that Carly saved him. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I made a tweet that was like revisionist history, but I mean, she does help him a lot.
Yeah, she does a lot. She does.
he's always trying to put himself in jail. Like, I'm just gonna go to jail. And she's like, no, wear this tie. We're gonna get out of this. And so yeah, like it's always interesting to see people be put back in other elements. Like it's fun to see. Everyone was like, Jason's at a birthday party. Has he even been to his kid's birthday party? I was like, probably not. But
Probably not.
he's at this one, he's at the Quartermains. Carly and Jason have to pretend. Why do they have to pretend? This is the thing of the history thing. If this is a business arrangement, why don't they just get married? Why are they dancing around this? Just go get married.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it's opposite story with Nicholas and Ava. Why is this divorce taking so long? Why don't they go to the divorce island? Do you remember the divorce island? Like Sunny knew an island where you could just fly. Yes. Anytime he wanted to marry another man's wife, he just took them to this.
Yeah, all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. We've talked on our show, as you mentioned, you like her, but we've talked on our show how much we've not cared for. I mean, I say this carefully. Cared for the way Sam is being written and Kelly Monaco's acting. We have talked about both. But you're a fan of it. But I know you're a fan of hers. I mentioned how much I love Lily Hartley coming on and breathing some life into the role. What is your take on the Kelly Monaco Sam situation? Because you said finally she has a story that she's part of something to make. So you agree with us on some level that she's been kind of languishing and kind of like just not really there.
What is Sam? Like for the past, I think since 2017, like I really liked Sam. I liked Kelly Monaco on Port Charles. I didn't understand why they gave her a new character for General Hospital. That was, I think, the first time I didn't understand why someone got a new character, like just make her Libby Locke. But I enjoyed the character. I liked that she was messy. I liked that she had a past. I love when they attached her to the Cassadines. It was such a great family to be attached to. Something I thought she was really great when Billy Miller was on. I did not mind Billy Miller. It was a different Jason, you know, but you're gonna have a different Jason with a different actor. And then something happened in like 2017. I don't know if it was behind the scenes. I do not know what happened, but like when they did the Tale of Two Jasons, like everything kind of just went flat. Yeah. And not only for it, I think it started with the writing where she started getting written out of her own storylines. Like Jason got so much story when he came back. Like 2 weeks after he gets back from being missing for 5 years, and they don't even know if it's Jason. And Sunny's like, you got to go to the island. You got to get back to work, you know? And so like it kind of fell flat. And then they finally put Jason back together. I was so happy. And it was so like, duh, like whatever, blah. And then she kind of disappeared. And then I actually agree with you guys. When Liz Hartley came in, you know, she was playing like hysterical Sam, who's like, Jason's got a brain tumor.
Yes.
You reminded me of Sam when Robin first came back, when he first had the brain stuff. And you're right. There was a bolt of lightning in that we hadn't seen in Kelly Monaco. Right. Maybe I think she's getting a little better. I think now that she has her own storyline that is not her being sad about Jason or wanting Jason or crying about Jason, maybe we'll see more of the light. But now I think she's bogged down with this rewrite where people are just so irritated that she doesn't know things that she should. I'm slightly irritated because you're essentially rewriting Samantha McCall's storylines. Like she was a major part of that storyline. She got all of ELQ back from Nicholas, and now we're pretending like it didn't happen. Yeah. And so,
sorry. Side note: yes, former Port Charles and General Hospital actor Jay Pickett passed away suddenly. He was on a movie set. Apparently passed away on a movie set, and today it is two actor who does Days of Our Lives and Jurassic. It's Wally Kurt's birthday. It's happy birthday to Mr. Wally, a friend of the show. We love Wally. Love Wally. He does great work both as Ned and as Justin Kiriakis on Days of Our Lives.
Yes, I just got done watching the Ned bigamy story, and I was like, death to you, Ned, but he was great in it.
I'm laughing because Rena Sofer, who played Lois back then, is heating things up with a black man on Bold and the Beautiful right now. Quarter is hot. Lauren St. Victor and her are hot together. So I'm just saying 30 to 20-some years later.
She still got the juice.
What?
Still got the juice.
Yeah,
There's
those
some
juice.
soap actors who just have the juice, like Deidre Hall.
Yeah.
Marlena Evans could get anyone. If Ben fell in love with Marlena, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. I'd be like, yes, honey, you have good taste.
Okay. I mean, they do. So I'm working out. So that's what I'm just saying. And like I said, seeing Monica, seeing Leslie Charleston, her real name, seeing her on the road. And what are your thoughts about Brit? We love Brit. So that's always our big thing. The Brit. What do you about her?
I love Brit. I want them to do something with Brit has Kelly Monaco's old storyline of just being sad about Jason. You know, she's just sad about Jason. She's just walking through this hospital, just marinating in memories, just like being stopped in her tracks by her, what is it, lighthouse shenanigans. Like, that's the only thing I
Right.
want to be a little more sassy about this. I give her someone better than freaking Jax. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, okay. So I mean, if you want to, it's up to you. I don't know if you want to speak on it. Ingo Rademacher has had a lot of controversy off screen with comments he's tweeted and things he said. And we figure that's why he's floundering on GH right now. That's why he's not a major storyline. But they had him and Britt sleep together, which was very interesting. Do you think they're going to go the baby route? Who's the daddy?
I can see them doing it. I mean, it's a soap trope at this point. Do we need more
Yeah.
kids? No. And then I also think the two actors that are the potential dad are just too old. Like, and not that like older people cannot have kids, right? Like, of course they can have kids. This is not about being ageist or anything, but like you have young people on this show who can reproduce. Like, if
But
you
girl, they had old ass Carly
yeah,
get pregnant. I was like, we have geriatric babies now. What's going on here?
now
Now,
that baby's disappeared.
I'm like, I mean, first of all, they're around my age, so I can say this. I'm saying this. I'm not an ageist. I am old too, and my tubes are tied. No, so I'm just saying, girl. They made her have a baby.
Yeah, Ava had a baby, late in life baby. Alexis pretty much had both Molly and Christina. She wasn't that old. She was in her 40s. She was cute. But I mean, like, I the thing I love about soaps is that like they do not really try to replace legacy characters with like hot young things. Hot young things come in and they're like accessories. They are props until they prove themselves to be useful in a storyline. But you know, because they're your main characters, you want to have them have this meaty drama. I think a lot of it was, you know, for some reason, and I like I said, I hate bringing actors into it because I never know behind the scenes stuff. I just don't have
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But like the Corinthos family, there is some need to not want to recast Christina or Morgan. And I know that like that Mo loves Lexi Ainsworth and Brian. So it's one of those things where you have young characters that you could have on the show doing these things and like their parents could still be involved. I mean, like as we see with Carly, anything that has to do with her kids, she's involved. Like she thinks she should have a say and it should be a number one say. Like, and so it's one of those things where I don't know why we would give Jax an 18-year-old daughter and like then an infant. You know, I don't really know why. We know Valentine doesn't have a child, but it's not really a baby. But like at least Charlotte and that baby are somewhat close in age, but she's still a little too old too. And he's supposed to be 60 apparently. We know JPS is not 60, but you know, he's so old. But then again, I don't want Michael to have any, but God forbid if they give Milo a baby. Oh my God. I could not.
So I can't even comment because that storyline puts me to sleep. So I can't even like.
That's the thing I'll say for my podcast. I watch every story, even so you all don't have to. That's my motto.
There you go. There you go. I like that. There you go. I like that. Thanks for being on the show, Tara. One of the things we have to come on our other show, and maybe do a recap with us one day.
I will be 100% down to do that. I would love that.
Okay. I think we'll talk about that. Come on and get QCap with us. Tara Kiddo, she's Port Misery. So on Twitter, it's Port_Misery and Port PORT, like you spell it. Misery, not small misery. Show is on Spotify under Port Misery and Anchor, and coming maybe soon to Apple. You gotta get on Apple, girl. That's like the whole Apple and Spotify. You already have a Spotify, so Apple's the other one. Those are the two like biggies. But congratulations on your success for doing this and doing a podcast. Starting it's fine. It's the day to keep it going. That's the hard part. I've been doing 7 years, so I know it's been hard. But if you like it, you can do it. Do it. So thank you. I'm James Lott Jr. Follow me, we're all James Lott Jr. Sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. JSP Spotlights is on Facebook. You can follow JLJ Media everywhere. And I will see you another couple of hours when I did a JSP Spotlight recap for last week for July 26th through 30th. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Go follow her. Follow us. See you next time.
Thank you.